There's a lot that Donald Trump has had to complain about on Fox News recently, almost all of it Shep Smith. And so today is actually a day of good news for Donald Trump. Shep Smith apparently is out. Here is his final sign off from his show.
The opportunities afforded this guy from small town Mississippi have been many. Fox News has allowed me to travel the country and the world, gathering the facts of the day for you. Together with my colleagues, we've written a first draft of history and endeavored to deliver it to you while speaking truth to power without fear or favor, in context and with perspective. So recently I asked the company to allow me to leave Fox News. After requesting that I stay, they obliged. Under our agreement, I won't be reporting elsewhere, at least in the near future, but I will be able to see more of Gio and Lucia and our friends and family. Then we'll see what comes along. This is my last newscast here. Even in our currently polarized nation, it's my hope that the facts will win the day, that the truth will always matter, that journalism and journalists will thrive.
I share those same hopes, just don't have a lot of hope in those areas. So that was his final statement. Some of what he said about the negotiations, I guess theoretically could be true. We'll see in a few months how much actually ends up being true. And just a quick note, he talked about them writing the first draft of history. Shep Smith is a lot better than everyone else at that network, but man, some of those areas of that history would be pretty dark, pretty weird.
Yeah.
They viewed much of the 19th century through an odd lens. But anyway, he's gone, and so Donald Trump has gotten what he wanted. I mean, there's other people he doesn't like at the network, but Shep Smith was the one that was most regularly a thorn in his side.
Yeah, so look, Fox News didn't just write the first draft of history. In a lot of ways, they made history. So it's painful to talk about, but we've got to be honest with what happened. So people talk about them in the Trump era a lot. No, they've been toxic from day one. They were meant to be toxic. That was the whole point. And they were meant to lie about it. If they just represented a conservative opinion, it's a free country. And so we would disagree and we would fight, but it's fine. They pretended to be fair and balanced. They put news in the title to mislead you on purpose. And then the most damning thing that they ever did is the one that gets the least attention. In the 2000 election, when it was an absolute tie between Bush and Gore, they had hired Bush's cousin to be their vote counter. And Roger Ailes pulled off a great trick. And so, look, unlike Trump, Roger Ailes was very, very smart. And he had Bush's cousin say, yeah, Bush won the election. So they declared, and they know that the rest of the media is a bunch of weaklings and followers. So once Fox News came out in 2000 and said, George Bush has won the election, everybody else at the other networks panicked, and there's literally reporting from inside the networks that said, well, Fox called it, we gotta call it, we gotta call it. And then later, when all the votes were counted, after the Supreme Court stopped the vote and the news agencies actually got the ballots, collectively they counted them, it turns out Al Gore had won the state of Florida. Under every counting measure there was, the whole state of Florida, Al Gore had won it. He was the actual president. He didn't just win the popular vote, he won the Electoral College. But Fox News robbed this country and of this world of him and put in a guy who started the Iraq war, crashed the economy, and set the world ablaze. Fox News did that. So you'll forgive me if I'm not moved by your first draft of history and how this toxic place has done great damage to the entire planet. Now, having said that, Shep is by far the best guy on Fox News, and what he had always just done a little pinprick, if you will, into their veil of lies. So from time to time, he would tell the truth, and he would, back when Roger Ailes was alive and running Fox News, Ailes would call him in, he'd tell him, look, you only get that once a year, right? In essence, right? That's the bottom line of it. And Ailes found Shep Smith, and Shep's been on there for 23 years. And if you're Shep and you went from nothing to a very successful, wealthy person, I can understand why you'd be loyal to a guy like Roger Ailes. On the other hand, Roger Ailes is a monster who treated people horrifically. So you could have your own personal loyalty, that's up to you, brother. But back when Ailes was alive, he'd allow the truth about once a year. Now he's not alive, he's not running Fox News, and Shep's saying it all the time. And now we got problems. And now all of a sudden, Shep is gone. So I have no idea if he's telling the truth when he says, I asked to leave. He sounded genuine there, but it's Fox News, you never know. But Shep's a truth teller usually on Fox News as much as he is allowed to. So maybe he did want to leave, but I don't know why.
I kind of feel like some of it was a little performative. Like the performance was stellar because I could look in his eyes and see one thing, and then there would be those one hook things that he would say that I could just like see him turn the blade in Trump's stomach. Like he would, those principles of honesty and truth and integrity and just kind of like talking around it. But I would have to say it has been thoroughly entertaining watching the GOP self-cannibalize because Trump is so toxic that even the toxic of the toxic are seen as like Mother Teresa in proximity to Trump.
That's true.
And it's just really interesting that what I want to see is what happens during the election because there's a lot of people who obviously aren't going to come out and speak against Trump because they're afraid of him and they're afraid of what some of the more extreme base would do. But I think that it's going to tell a different story in the polls, much like it did when people didn't vote for him to begin with and some of them voted for Hillary because they didn't want to see him.
So excellent example of what you're talking about is Colonel Ralph Peters. I mean, the guy's nuts on foreign policy, nuts on 100 different things. But Trump was so toxic that Ralph Peters was like, no, I'm leaving Fox News. I can't stand this place. Like, really? I mean, look, sure, let's do all the terrible things that we normally do, et cetera. But this guy doesn't even believe in democracy, doesn't even believe in America. And so he left and he's now on CNN. So I don't agree with Ralph Peters on anything. But even that guy had a line and Trump crossed the line.
It's like that episode of Family Guy when they're like, bird is the word. And then after maybe like 5 minutes in, you're just like, okay, I get it. Like it was funny like the first 5-10 minutes, but now it's too much. That's Trump in this election.
Yeah, 100%.
Same thing with Shapoopy.
Yeah.
One point I want to make really fast. We didn't get into it yesterday. There wasn't enough time, but it was one of the reasons why you were talking about the possibility that the younger remaining Murdochs might turn them in a more moderate direction because of their business interests outside of Fox News, which is certainly a possibility. But I felt like I had seen the first draft of this a couple of weeks ago when Shep Smith was feuding with Tucker Carlson, and Shep was just calling it like he saw it. Tucker was bringing on guests to bash Shep Smith, and management saw that feud and said, Shep, if you don't stop, we're taking it off the air. And so I suspected if they have their straight news guys and their opinion guys, they know what their fans are coming for, and so they chose to side with Tucker. And I think what we're seeing here, what Trump wants out of Fox News and what they're creating now by getting rid of Shep Smith is there is this ever-present radicalization of media where people are pushing for more extreme versions of what they enjoyed previously. And what's important to note about this change to Fox is that Fox is not through this becoming more conservative. It's becoming more conspiratorial, more detached from reality. It's becoming more extreme, but not more extremely right. That's important.
Extremely
it's becoming
right-wing.
Right-wing, exactly. It is just more purified BS. It's what people want to hear. They want to see the Breitbart conspiracy theories. They want to see the stuff they can see on 4chan. They just want to see it with some good production values. And so that's what they're chasing, not better right-wing policy proposals.
So last thing on this is that, look, Shep could be lying, and why would he lie? Because a lot of times when you're leaving these companies, there is a lot of money on the line. And so whether it's an exit package or just being let out of your contract, if he's not let out of his contract, he can't go work somewhere else. So he could have a ton of financial incentive to make things look good to the outside and not be honest about it at all.
Yeah.
That's one possibility. The other possibility is that he's being genuine. Okay, if he is, then we'll have our answer soon. Because if Judge Napolitano or Chris Wallace exit next, it was all a lie, and they're firing and cleaning out everyone who isn't sufficiently conspiratorial, doesn't want to lie, et cetera.
I don't know how Napolitano's still there.
Yeah, Napolitano is deeply right-wing. Chris Wallace is conservative. So John is right, it isn't about their politics. It's will you bow to the dear leader? Will you lie to the American people on a regular course? It doesn't matter what your politics is, it matters whether you agree to fascism or not. So if they fire or someone leaves that is in that same category of right wing on Fox News, but honest about Trump, then you have your answer. Fox News has weighed in on the side of fascism and Trump. So we'll see. It's not our decision to make, it's their decision to make. and you'll know who they are. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.